One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Dr. Brian Wickstrom. Brian is the Director of Athletics at University of the Incarnate Word, and he's been there for roughly a year and a half. Greetings, Brian. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be on. I appreciate it, Ty.
Now, Brian, you've been in college athletics for 21 years, and you previously served as the AD at UC Riverside and Louisiana Monroe, so you have a wealth of experience in terms of leadership and in terms of how the college athletics industry works. In this third stint as an athletics director, of course, we mentioned UC Riverside and Louisiana Monroe, now UIW. At each stop, when taken over as the AD, you make a commitment to the president and to the institution that you will not ask for any additional institutional support if you're allowed to keep the funds that are self-generated by the athletics department. That sounds self-explanatory, and it also sounds like a big promise. Can you explain why making such a commitment is important in terms of athletics?
Well, one thing, I want to make sure that our president knows that we're going to work our tails off to generate revenue and to grow our program without taking money away from the academic side of campus. At the University of Missouri, which was my first really full-time job in college athletics, when I worked with like Ross Bjork, Laird Veach, Mike Alden, we grew our budget from $13.4 million to $23.4 million by self-generating revenue, by hitting the road, by fundraising, by selling tickets. And so I believe I helped put the president in a better position with the academic side of the campus and the other auxiliary units if he doesn't have to keep increasing his funding for the athletics program. So as long as he maintains the level of funding for the athletics program that the institution provides when I get the job, I ask our coaches, our staff to help me raise revenues, so that's how we grow. And so it actually helps hold employees, coaches, and staff accountable, knowing that, hey, we're going to get to grow your budget, your recruiting budget's going to get better, your facilities are going to get better if we grow our revenues, and that puts the president in a good spot, but it also helps us be held accountable to grow our own department.
And everybody's bought in, too, because they understand the commitment that has been made on their behalf pretty much, right?
Correct. And I'll tell you this, we've earned a lot of respect from Dean Barry, the Dean of the College of Business in Louisiana, or the faculty staff, the faculty athletic reps at the institution I've been at. When they see athletics not asking for additional money for their program, and they see the coaches on the road recruiting, but also fundraising, and they see us running promotions to get the students involved to generate revenue, it makes them understand that, hey, we want to support athletics. They're not taking money from us, so we need to be on board and help them support the program and help them build excitement because they believe in supporting themselves and the academic mission.
Thinking about this kind of promise, when you're going in and you're interviewing an institution to decide whether to become the director of athletics or not, what attributes need to be in place for you to feel comfortable enough to make this type of promise?
Well, there's a few things that I think are important, and that is you look at how many donors an organization has, how many alumni the institution has, what market are you in. I think there's always room for growth, but like what has been done in the past to grow revenues? How have ticket sales been? Have the people on campus been engaged? Have you got all the businesses around the campus engaged? And have you got the community involved? That's the stuff I look at. And for me, I've been in great communities. I've worked for some great people, but there's always been room for growth. And the way that the college athletics has changed, where it's gone to you can watch a game on Twitter now, or you can watch games on TV. It's hard to get people to the stands. So you look at what folks they've done to make the game day experience great, to get people to want to come to the stadium or come to the basketball arena. So that's the stuff that you evaluate when making that promise. But there's always room for growth. And when coaches are on board with helping you raise revenue, helping you sell tickets, I mean, it's a win-win because they get to talk about the student-athlete experience, which people always want to support a great student-athlete experience in graduates, and that's how you grow the revenues.
As you were answering, I thought about something. say you're researching an institution and they have offered you the director of athletics position, and you look and you see one of two options, right? Either the community, donors, local businesses, the coaches are all involved in growing resources for the organization. So it looks like a great experience. That's on one hand. Say, hypothetically, on the other hand, there's a dearth of involvement from businesses in the community and some of the donors, etc. It sounds like as a problem solver in a leadership position, the latter option is good to go in because then you can reach out and try to get those people involved. But also the former option is a good one to be in because everybody's involved in terms of helping grow the resources. From your perspective, which one of those is better to come into?
I think they're both great opportunities. I think from my perspective, I think they're both situations where you may take different steps, but even if you say you're at an institution and you have a really high donor number of turnout, that's where you can take the opportunity and you can get them to give a little bit more because you deliver a great donor experience for them. So, you get them to donate for a basketball coach's endowment, you endow the head coaching position, and they start to build a relationship with the basketball coach and he has success. Then they're going to want to give more. I mean, everybody has the capacity to do more if you keep delivering experience, and then they're going to go get new people involved. So I think they're both win-win situations. I think as long as the institution is transparent where the money's going, and the athletics program is transparent in what they're delivering as for student athletes and for donors, I think people want to be involved. They want to be a part of building winners. They want to be a part of building college graduates. And so I think they're both great situations. I think it just comes down to what I've really learned is what's the best fit for an athletic director. Not every institution is a good fit with the athletic director or with a coach. It comes down to the fit, and then that's really more important to me than who's involved and what's involved, but just in terms of making a roadmap of how you're going to build those revenues.
Right. Yeah, fit is definitely important in alignment. So this is your third time as an athletic director, and you made that commitment in each stop. So once you make the commitment, you start at the job, and then you got to start making decisions. What were some of the tough decisions you had to make as you fulfilled this promise in each of your stops as director of athletics?
Well, I will tell you this. In some of the institutions that I've worked at, both as a sitting AD and before as a sitting AD, is some institutions don't necessarily understand how quickly athletics moves and how quickly things have to happen when you hire a coach or you build a facility. So I think some of the challenges are for me, I haven't ever in my career, I haven't ever built a facility, especially as a sitting athletic director, that wasn't 100% fundraised for. I didn't have to use any institutional funds at the three institutions I've been at. And that's probably some of the toughest decisions are, okay, since we're going to raise 100% of the money for the facility, which is the number one priority for the department? It's not always, for me, when I got here, the first thing we did is when I got a new football field. And, which meant that we had to put our baseball and softball fields on hold because we had to go get the money for our football field first. So I think the tough decision comes down to what are you going to focus on first? What's going to be your number one priority? What's going to help the overall department the most? What's going to have the biggest impact that all coaches and student athletes will see, be the beneficiary of? So I think that's the tough decision for me is what's going to get the number one priority? Are we going to spend our time? Are we going to, when I took this job, was our number one priority to start working on facilities, or was it to grow a Cardinal Club and sell tickets? So it actually ended up being the football field because it was a poor condition for our student athletes. So that took priority over us raising money for the Cardinal Club and then selling tickets. But as soon as we got the football field funded, people started getting excited because of the design of it, and people started buying season tickets and joining the Cardinal Club. So everything falls into place when you can build excitement and get momentum. But really, that's it. I think my toughest decisions are what's going to be the number one priority, what's going to be the number two priority, what's going to be the number three priority.
It sounds like in that decision, the football field, and I guess in every decision, right, priority management is important. I would love to get into your mind about that. But that specific decision, right, the football field, there were two strategies that come from doing the football field first. First is student athlete well-being, right? A poor football field can be dangerous for people who are practicing on it. So you take that as priority, and that makes it a priority. But then also, if we do this football field first, it will create excitement for possible season ticket holders, and that can lead to a number of different things tied to experience and attendance and engagement and those kind of things. Are those the kind of thoughts you have when you're thinking about priority, when you're raising money and what to do first? Like, that thought process is very interesting to me.
It is. That's when I think about a decision on what we're gonna focus on right now, what we're gonna focus on in the future. It's like, how does this all fall into place with where we're trying to go as a department? Does this fit our vision? What's going to help us get to our vision and our goals the fastest? And one other thing with the football field was, when I got here, we had to hire a new football coach 4 months after I got here. And one of my selling points to get Coach Morris to come here was, I promise you, if you come here, we'll get you a new field. Because he saw that on his interview. He's like, this doesn't say if I'm worried about the kids. I was like, if you take this job, I will get you a new field. So that also accelerated the priority line to move it, to make it a priority, because I made a commitment to Coach that if he took the job, we'd get a new field. So that was played into the part also.
Sounds like an excellent thing you're doing there. Here's my final question here. Let's say you get to the point, and this is another hypothetical, right? Say you get to the point where you're in the black in terms of revenue and income and expenses and those things for a number of years. Obviously, there's always something you can build and something you can contribute to student athlete experience and something you can contribute to student athlete well-being as you grow an athletics department within an institution. Will there ever be a point where you start giving back to the academic part of the institution, where it's like, okay, as an athletic team, we've raised this, we've probably increased donors for both academic and athletics on campus? Would there ever be a point where you say, okay, now that we've done this, we've fulfilled our promise and hadn't touched anything from the institution, let's see how we can help out on that side of campus?
That's a great question. I will tell you, my first full year here, we ended up in the black. We paid off, I guess 8 years before I got here, they built a new weight room. And my first year here, we ended in the black because our revenues were up. We actually paid off an obligation that the campuses hadn't been paid back for from 8 years ago. And then this year, our revenues were up so much in the first 6 months, we actually gave back money to the campus already, just to the overall institution, to take and do what they wanted to do with it. If they need it for academics, we just gave the money back because our revenues are so far up halfway through the year. And we've already helped the overall campus out by doing that, and also focusing on continuing to raise revenues. We're really big about setting baseline goals for our budget, but then putting stretch goals in place that we focus on. So we always talk about the goals in our budget, but we're always striving to go further than our goals and our budget to end up having a surplus every year. In an ideal world, we're putting our surpluses, if we don't give it back to campus, we're putting in a maintenance fund that we can already have money in place to replace the football field in the future, not have to fundraise for it. Or if something happens, if we need to buy an additional university bus, we can contribute towards that. So we're always trying to think about things that we can do that the rest of the campus can benefit from as well.
Brian, it sounds like you're doing wonderful things there at UIW, and I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day.
That was Dr. Brian Wickstrom. He's the Director of Athletics at University of the Incarnate Word. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.